witches!
Hi, hello, and welcome back.
It is another mythology/folklore day.
And today we're going to be talking about the fates and the Oracle of Delphi. So, I'm going to go first with the fates. So, in Greek mythology, the fates are three women, essentially, that have the ability to take away life, create it, spin it, whatever the case may be. So if you remember in the Disney movie Hercules, they are three, I would call them hags
Kind
because
of
they are
decrepit
definitely not,
ladies.
yeah, like deathbed, probably should have died 100 years ago, kind of like women. Um, they essentially straight up are like, oh, well, we can't change that. It's destiny. And then they take like a strand and then just cut it because they can. And that's how it is. Whatever that is. So, um, the fates, or as the Greek call it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's spelled Morai, kind of like the queen from the other one, but it's pronounced Mira.
Okay.
Honestly, that kind of scares me to even say that. Um, so that's what they originally called in ancient Greece. The word Moira or Mira means share or portion of something, whether a meal, land, or victory spoils. So it's kind of like similar to merit in English or the Latin word for reward. Um, it also means the apportioners, so the ones who give to each own, like a portion of life. Um, the Roman counterpart of them are the parquet, the parquet. I don't know. The AE always throws me off because I feel like it needs to be like an A sound, but it's also
Like
Greece,
an I sound? Yeah, like
Roman area, so I know they pronounce things differently. Um, so they um the word that they're coming from, like the Latin word for it, is actually derived from parere, or to bring forth, which explains why they were initially birth spirits and also why the Romans weren't so far off when they merged them with the Moroi. Moray. Um, so there were three fates in mythology. They were Clotho, which actually is a the high priestess of the library in the what is it called, in the House of Wind library.
yeah.
Um, Clotho means the spinner, Lachesis or the allotter, and then Atropos, literally the interning, or more freely the inflexible. So those three are the ones that you need to argue with if you are pissed off about something that happens in your life because they probably did it, and that's what needs to happen. So there has been different genealogies about where the fates are like placed in terms of the family tree. Um, there's two of which go all the way back to the Hesiod. Um, in his uh, theogony, the poet first informs us that the Fates are the fatherless daughters of Nyx, or the night, only to later describe them as daughters of Zeus and Themis, and thus sisters of the fuck, Horae, Hora, uh, Eunomia, Dike, and Erin. Oh, oh man, why
Well,
do we have
yours
to
has
go
a
with
lot
Greece?
more than mine does.
It's Irene. Irony? Irony?
I like
I'm gonna
it.
go with it. Both genealogies make sense because in the first case, the more Mira are linked through Nyx with death, and in the second, they are clearly associated with the unchanging order of things. At a later date, in the Orphic, oh, why are they using these words? Did I even copy these words? The Fates got a new mother, a Nandki or necessity, because apparently fate is necessary.
That tracks.
Yeah. So they're consistently portrayed as three women spinners. Each of the three fates had a different task revealed by their very name. So Clotho spun the thread of life, Lachesis measured its allotted length, and Atropos cut it off with her shears. Um, Sometimes each of the fates were assigned to a specific period of time. So Atropos was the past, Clothos is the present, and Lachesis is the future. The representation of the fates evolved throughout the time that they were around, I guess, and it seems that it often depended on the medium through which they were portrayed. So in visual arts, they were usually depicted as handsome women, but in literature, they are often imagined as both old and ugly. So that's probably why Disney went that route.
Yeah.
Any case, they were almost always pictured as weaving or binding thread. Sometimes one or all of them can be seen reading or writing the Book of Fate. It's actually kind of funny in God of War. So the main character, fuck, what's his name? The main character, the guy. I played all the games and I freaking forgot. Um, I about called him Thanos. Damn it! Why words are just not coming to me today? Kratos. Kratos. Um, Kratos is Greek. He is originally from Greece, born and raised. He's a Spartan, and one of the actually go against the fates, and like they're pissed off at you for like killing. Oh, spoiler alerts for nobody who's ever played God of War. They're kind of pissed off at you for um killing or attempting to kill everybody on Olympus. And Kratos has it in his mind that he's going to create his own destiny and to fuck the fates. And so he essentially kills them all or attempts to.
Oh.
Um, and you actually go through each one, and each thing is so weird because like everything's kind of like spider like, and like there's strings leading everywhere, and it's actually really really like it's well made. It's really good. Um, So, in one of the genealogies, it shows that they are the daughters of Zeus. Um, so, regardless of that, I mean, obviously we don't know, but it's kind of hard to say if Zeus ever had anything in had any say in the matter when it came to the fates. Um, but according to the ancient Greeks, or according to them, like what they believed in, it seems that even he was unable to overrule their decrees. So if they determine one thing is to happen, like he has no say on the matter, it has to happen. Um, so even though at one point during the Trojan War, he is aware that his beloved son, Sarpedon, will die at the hands of Patroclus. Patroclus?
Patroclus, I think.
Patroclus? I don't know.
Patroclus. He's the one that. Oh.
Like that
He's
was
the one
hiding
that
in
was in
the
a relationship
horse.
with. Son of a bitch.
I didn't get that deep into this.
No, I read a book. There's a book about. And I can't think of his name. But he is in a relationship with Patroclus. Or Patroclus. Or however the fuck you say his name. I'm
Oh,
gonna look it up. Go ahead.
okay. Zeus can do nothing to save him, and he knows that his son will die, and that it
Achilles.
has to happen. What the
Sorry.
fuck? Why? That you should have been like the ankle, the ankle.
The Song of Achilles
Um.
is the book.
Oh, that's a good.
And they're
That's a
like
good.
lovers.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. I heard great things about that. That's a good book. So
It's a
I gotta.
very good book.
Um. So just at oh, I should have just continued reading because Achilles is right in here. Uh. So I did
Not
this
to advance.
yesterday and I haven't touched it since. So I completely forgot every single thing that I had, wrote down. Just as well, before the duel between Hector and Achilles, the all powerful god merely weighs their destinies on his golden scales and learns the outcome as opposed to having any control over it. Ooh. The Fates and Zeus seem to have some type of understanding, though, between each other because their friendship goes way back to the giant days. Um, this is when the Fates killed the giants Argreus and Thoas, clubbing them to death with bronze cudgels. I don't know what that is. They helped Zeus even more when they tricked Typhoeus into eating some power weakening fruits, which they successfully persuaded him to do by convincing him to believe in the opposite. So even though Zeus can't do anything about it, he's like, I respect you. You my bro. I got you. You help me, I help you, kind of thing. Um, so some of the fates do not. They are they don't appear in a lot of myths. They are usually portrayed attending the births of both mortals and gods, but they rarely need to intervene in any way whatsoever. They are, however, two interesting exceptions. Um, there are, not they are. They are. There are. Jesus.
Words are hard.
They really are. I just struggled for 45 minutes just to do a TikTok video because my words kept coming out wrong. Anyways, however, there are two exceptions. Meleager, whatever, was immortal, and the fates said something to the mortal at their birth when they informed his mother uh, that her son would live until a log, then burning in a hearth was burnt entirely to ashes. Naturally, she put the log away in a chest and kept it safe for many years. However, when Malager or whatever, was murdered her brothers or his uncles after a quarrel over a boarskin, she threw the log into a fire and then killed her son.
Oh my
Afterward,
god.
yeah, afterward, out of remorse and despair, she killed herself as well. And I wonder
Ancient Greece was
too,
violent.
honestly. So I wonder if if the baby wasn't supposed to live past infancy, and that's what they were saying, and so she could have saved her brothers
By
if she
just
just let the
living.
log. Yeah,
Yeah. Ooh.
don't fuck with fate, people, because it comes back tenfold. That's kind of like what is it? Final Destination. That's basically what all of those movies are about. It's like if you curve the fate of dying, like it's gonna come back regardless, and you're still gonna die. You ever watch those movies?
No. No, I
You
did
ever see
not.
those memes of saying like millennials behind like log trucks, and you just see like a
Yes.
bunch of log trucks?
So I have, and I've never seen those movies, but I still don't drive behind log trucks because, hello.
Yeah. So your fear about why that is the case happened in the movie, but like worse.
Yeah, I've heard.
So, and then every single time I watch that movie, always seem to be about to go on, like, not about to go on a roller coaster, like I'm not watching it in line, but like the next day or like within the next week, I'm going to like a theme park. It seems like, and there's one with roller coasters, and I was like, don't think of it, don't think of it, don't think of it, because like if I think of it, it's gonna freak me out. But no thanks. So anyways, um, there's not a. I didn't find a lot about the fates, so um, I'm almost done, basically.
Oh, you're good.
But so the fates were actually deceived by someone, and it wasn't Hercules, or it could have been, but not the cartoon Hercules. But Apollo was the one who deceived them. So, upon learning that Admetus, his favorite, was destined to die, Apollo got the Fates drunk and persuaded them to spare his life if he was able to find a substitute. He didn't, but uh, Admetus's wife, Alcestis, ever the epitome of faithfulness and love, voluntarily stepped forth and ultimately saved her husband's life. So
So she
basically,
sacrificed herself?
she sacrificed herself to save her husband's life, knowing that he was going to die at the Fates' hands.
Huh.
And Apollo originally tried to derail that, um, but he couldn't find like an actual substitute for it. Um, so the wife just decided, by all means, I'll go do it.
All right.
And I think there's fates in other like areas of the world, um, or beings similar to the fates. Maybe not like three people, but yeah. I mean, they are what they are, I guess.
Okay.
So they're three women, three weavers, essentially.
That's cool. I like it.
But yeah, they had enormous power. Even Zeus couldn't handle them. So when they say "don't test fate," that's where it comes from.
Nice. Well, it kind of works that you were talking about Apollo there towards the end.
Oh fuck yeah!
That's a very nice segue into mine, which is the Oracle of Delphi. She is based at Apollo's temple in Delphi, located on the slopes of Mount Parnassus, which I'm sure is not pronounced Parnassus in Greek, but listen.
It
um,
is what it is.
just real quick, she goes by multiple names. Not only does she go by the Oracle of Delphi, she also goes by Pythia, or I
Oh,
don't know if it's Pythia or Pythia. I think it's
it's
Pythia.
Pythia. Pythia.
Pythia and or Pytho, but
Pitho.
Pitho,
Hmm.
whatever. Those ones I didn't look up. Um, she
I'm only going off the video game for that, so I have no fucking clue.
I say she, but she is not always the same person, which I'll get to here in a little bit. There have been many oracles of Delphi, um, but we'll get to that. But they were the most famous between the 8th and 4th centuries BCE due to lawmakers, lawyers, and cult leaders who sought Apollo's advice on the outcome of projected wars or political things. So that's when she was the most sought after and like famous. Um, I couldn't find a lot about this story, but apparently she originally belonged to Gaia or Mother Earth. That one I did look up. It's pronounced Gaia. Um, and she was either given to Apollo by Mother Earth or stolen by Apollo, but there wasn't a lot of information about that. Um, but an oracle is a woman who is a medium and lives apart from her husband and always wears maiden's clothes. She doesn't wear like married women's clothes. Um, I guess she wouldn't necessarily have to have a husband either, but if she did not live with him. And then when the oracle would pass away, a new priestess would be chosen, but the selection process was not well known, probably because it was done by Apollo. And gods. Um,
They have a mind of their own.
yeah, for real though. Um, Wars were fought to control the oracle. So like different countries would fight wars to like control the temple, and they thought if they controlled the temple, they controlled the oracle, but really nobody controls the oracle except for Apollo. But you know, men. And then she made her last prophecy around 393 CE, which was around the time that the Roman Emperor Theodosius, which I think is how you pronounce that, the first, began trying to out them.
Of course.
Yeah. So fuck that guy. Consultations with the oracle were typically restricted to one day, the seventh day of the month, because that was Apollo's birthday. The 3 winter months, when Apollo was believed to be visiting the Hyperboreans in the north, there were no consultations until later on. Um, Dionysus took over for Apollo for those 3 months, but originally there was only 9 months of the year that you could go to the Oracle of Delphi for a prophecy or a consultation. Um,
Were you
and
allowed to
to
go like every day,
no,
or
just
did you
one
have to
day of the month,
one day of the month? Okay.
and not just anybody could go. Like you couldn't just walk in there. You had to have a sponsor to go. You had to bring a pelanos, which is a ritual cake. Um, and you had to bring a sacrificial beast that like was prime. It's the exact words, the exact quote was a sacrificial beast that conformed to rigid physical standards. So like you couldn't just bring any old goat. You had to bring like a prime
The
animal.
goat.
Yeah. Um so like it wasn't just any person off the street could just walk in and talk to the oracle. Like there were lots of steps you had to meet, and then you could only go on these certain days. And even then, she might be like, fuck off. Like, she might be like, nope, sorry. Sorry, I needed a drink of water. Um, okay, then the process, the Pythia and her consultants would bathe in the Castalian spring. And then, so like, this is on that day, like, not every time somebody came in to petition her, but like the seventh day of the month, they would bathe in the spring. Then she would drink from the sacred spring, the different sacred spring, Lotus, and then she would enter the temple. Then she went down to a basement cell, and it's there was like a tripod, basically a stool. And she would sit there and chew leaves of the laurel, which is Apollo's sacred tree. And then she would go into like a trance state and channel Apollo. Um, some skeptic people claim that her altered condition was the result of natural gases like ethylene and um, because she was
Possibly,
in
yeah.
the basement of a mountain temple. Like, very possible that that's what was happening. Um, but whatever the cause, she would speak intelligibly or otherwise. But her words were not directly like recorded or heard by the person asking the question. They were actually interpreted and written down by the priests that were there with her, like her consultants or whatever. And typically it was written in highly ambiguous verse, which I have a few examples of this, because I have actually 5 prophecies. I'm flying through my research. I don't know what's happening right now. I have 5 different prophecies to talk about, 5 of her more famous prophecies, and I have some excerpts of verse from those,
Ooh.
and they are very like, what? So, um, The one thing that's kind of disheartening about researching the Pythia is that there's nothing about these women before they become the Pythia. Like there's no I don't know any of their names. I don't know anything about any of them.
Hmm.
They're just known as her. So,
Yeah.
okay. So 5 of the more famous prophecies or the more well-known prophecies um and no, none of these are from Percy Jackson, so get that out of your head right now.
What about
um,
what is it? 300.
I don't know what the prophecy is in that one.
I don't remember the prophecy. I just the oracle, isn't it?
Yeah. So the first one is Lycurgus. Um, and there's no context for like why he was consulting her. Um,
Probably
but this
political.
probably, but this is what she said. Lycurgus, here you are. You have come to my rich temple, beloved of Zeus and all who dwell on Olympus. Should I address you in my prophecy as a god or as a man? I think it would be better to call you a god, Lycurgus. I think it would be better to call you a god, Lycurgus. And this was from Herodotus, the Histories. Um, so what? Like, she's like, oh, you're a god, but he's not. Um, and then she goes on to give instructions for how to reform Sparta and turn it into like a more powerful state instead of just what it was. And he actually like took this to heart and went back and made like big changes. And a lot of these changes um were not great. Like some of them were, there were changes to education and to marriage. But his big focus was creating a military state. Um so he basically trained up a lot of warriors. Yay.
Good for him.
Yeah, all right. The next one was around 594 BCE, and I didn't look up this guy's name, but it's spelled like Solon. Solon? I don't know. He was big in Athenian politics, and he consulted the Pythia about the state of his city. And at the time, it was like a very aristocratic city, and it was ruled by like the nobility, and he wanted change basically. She says, I have a very small a short quote from her. Position yourself now amidships, for you are the pilot of Athens. Grasp the helm tight in your hands. You have many allies in your city. And he interpreted this as a way to turn Athens away from their current political system, not as he should be the ruler. So he started constitutional reforms, basically started to introduce democracy. Um, he started jury trials, proportionate taxation, which like so like the rich get taxed more than the poor, which makes fucking sense. But let me not climb on that soapbox right now. We don't have time for that.
Mm-mm.
And he implemented like a forgiveness of debts for the poor, so they could rebuild and like get out of poverty. So Salon was a cool guy,
Good for
basically.
him.
Yeah,
He's a god.
we like him. Yeah, fuck Lycurgus or whatever the fuck his name was. Okay, then we got Croesus. He was kind of a dickhead. Um, he wanted to
I feel like
discover
most
which was the
that
most accurate of all the oracles. So basically, he's doing like a scientific test.
he's doing a
Um,
witch hunt.
Basically, um, so he devised this test to see which one would give the most precise answer. He asked multiple oracles. I don't know who the other ones were. I know that the Oracle of Delphi was one of them, to say what he was doing at a set point in time. And only he was the one that would know the answer to this. The Pythia provided the correct answer, and she was the best of all of the ones that he talked to. So Croesus was very impressed and sent like lots of gold and silver and stuff to Delphi. Um, and then he went to ask her. Um, he wanted to invade Persia, and so he went to ask her like, what should he do? And this is what was said. It's very cryptic. If you make war on the Persians, you will destroy a great empire. He assumed that
It
he
was
was going
their
to
empire.
destroy Persia. He was wrong. um, Not long into the war, he overspent his army and was defeated and captured by the Persians. So, the great empire that was being referred to by Apollo here was Croesus's empire.
Star Wars.
And what
Sorry,
just
my
happened?
thing just came through. I like hit my phone and then all of a sudden something popped up.
I was like, what the hell? Oh
Sorry.
my god.
My
Fine.
bad.
Um so the Persians were going to execute Croesus, and Apollo actually stepped in and saved him, which
Oh, that was nice.
well, it was, but like eh.
Is is Apollo the one in that we don't like in fuck what is that? Lore Olympus?
Oh, I don't remember. It's been so long since I've read Lore Olympus. I have the books though. I want to reread it.
Yeah, I think it's Apollo.
Apollo and Artemis
Snake.
are like the twins.
Yeah, it's Apollo. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck Apollo in that one. Thanks for saving somebody who was cocky in this one, idiot.
Yeah. He didn't really deserve it. He could
No,
have
he
just
didn't.
fucking listened and it would have been fine. But um
Men.
yep. Yep. Just yep. I've got two prophecies left. So there's another one. There's a statement that was given to an Athenian delegation shortly before the Persian invasion of Greece in 480 BC, which was led by King Xerxes the first.
Xerxes, I think.
Yeah, it's like
Ooh, is this where
Xerxes.
Leonidas comes in?
Uh, Not in this prophecy, but maybe. um, so basically the Athenians were like, "What's gonna happen?" Um, and the Pythia was like, "Retreat, escape while you can, get out of there." Um, and they were like, "What? No, we're not doing that." Like they were like pissed
This is
off.
the Oracle bitch.
Right, like
Don't fuck with her.
so they come back again, consult her again, even though they didn't want to listen to her the first time. And this is what she says, or this is two lines of what she said. Far-seeing Zeus gives you a wall of wood. Only this will stand intact and help you and your children. So this was a really vague reference. Um, but thankfully the Athenians listened more carefully than Croesus did. Um, and there were two schools of thought. One of them thought that it meant to build a wooden stockade around the Acropolis, and the others thought that it meant to build a fleet of wooden ships, and engage the Persians at sea. They did both of these things. Some of them they built up the wooden wall around the Acropolis, and they beefed up their ships. The fleet of ships is actually what ended up saving them. Um, they managed to defeat the Persians at sea, um, which ended up basically ending the war, and Persia was withdrawing, and Greek was free again. So it's kind of a cool one.
I feel like that's similar to what happened with America and Britland. Britland.
Britland.
The British.
Yeah. Yeah.
One if by land, two if by sea thing.
Yeah. Except we didn't have an oracle. Well, we might have, but it wasn't the Oracle of
The
Delphi.
Illuminati. That's why they're on our $1 bill.
We're witches. So I don't think we were listening to oracles. Okay, last
Damn.
one. Most people are going to know this name. Alexander the Great. He did not have a great relationship with the Oracle of Delphi.
He didn't have a
Um,
great relationship with a lot of people.
yeah, facts. Um, so early in his reign in 336 BC, it confused me when I was researching this because I was like, these times are going backwards, and then I was like, oh, duh.
It literally says BC.
Yeah, like I had a moment while I was researching. I figured it out,
BCE.
guys.
BCE.
Um, but a young Alexander went to Delphi to consult the Pythia on his campaign against Persia because Greece and Persia just can't fucking get along. Um, but he came on a day that was not the seventh day of the month, so it was not. Yeah, it was not a day that you
Who
could
do you think
consult
you
the
are?
right. Um,
Alexander the Great.
he was told to come back another day and got pissed off. He's actually not the king of Greece, I guess. He's the king of
He's just a
Macedonia.
conqueror. Conqueror.
Um, but he was asked to come back another time and got pissed off. And legend says, allegedly, he forced the Pythia to come out and provide a statement. Um, Sources vary on the nature of this force. Some say he held her by her hair and dragged her to the temple of Apollo. Um, I don't know what other sources say, but that's the most common one. Once she was in there, she basically just said, "Boy, you're invincible." Like she didn't say anything else. Um, Being the big-headed, small-dicked person that he was, Alexander was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm invincible," and he was like, "I'm gonna attack Persia."
I'ma
Um,
do it.
some of the more modern scholars are arguing over whether this actually happened. Um, some of them think that Alexander the Great and his people made this up after he was successful. Um, but there's no, obviously there's no proof. But even if that was a myth and that never happened, he never made a dedication in person at Delphi. In fact, he sent lavish gifts and tons of like offerings and things to the oracle at Olympia. Um, Almost like he was snubbing Delphi. Yeah.
Rude.
Um, so yeah. And the other thing that makes people discredit whether this actually happened is she actually said, "Boy, you were invincible," is that, he died of an illness at 32 years old. So like he didn't even die like in battle or because he was too powerful and someone took him out. He literally died of an illness at 32 years old.
You are
So,
invincible.
yeah. So people question whether that one actually happened or not. But yeah, so that's the Oracle of Delphi, which I have to consciously, because we're from Indiana, I have to consciously think Delphi because there's a town in Indiana called Delphi that is spelled exactly the fucking same.
Yeah.
But
Actually,
America,
their murders actually are making headlines nationwide and
yeah,
worldwide. So I don't know if anyone's heard of Delphi, Indiana, but there
yeah,
was two girls murdered there.
Abby and Libby. And there's been some developments in their case lately. Um, I don't,
Yeah,
I haven't been
the
following it
possible
super
killer lived in
close.
my hometown.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What
So,
the fuck? I even looked up like the location of like where he possibly lived, and I was like, I walked by that a lot as a
right?
kid.
Yep,
There's a park nearby. Not I wouldn't say across the street, but there's a park nearby
yeah.
where kids went all the time. Like that could have been anyone.
It really makes you wonder, like, is this the first time he's done this? Like,
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't
It's
know.
fucking insane.
But yeah, so the whole time I was like, Delphi, 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 like, say it correctly. But yeah,
Delphi.
that,
Cool.
that, that was fun. As always, if there are any specific mythology or folklore things you want to hear about, let us know. Send us an email, comment on our social media. Let us know.
Or if you want to hear more about the murders of Delphi, let us know too.
Oh, yeah, we can cover that too.
I'm more than willing to do that.
Yeah. There's a lot of information, but also like not a lot of information. It's kind of
It's
crazy.
still kind of hush hush,
Yeah, they're holding a lot close till they get it figured out.
which is fine. I mean, if they figure out
It's honestly
who the
smart.
yeah, if they figure out like if maybe they had the killer in their hands and they're like trying to keep shit and quiet about everything so that they can get um the correct evidence needed in court, or maybe they're trying to see if this guy will slip up by saying they have the killer in whatever, like all kinds of tactics could be used at this point.
Yep. So,
So anyways,
all right.
yay, until next time.
Bye.
Bye.